Welcome to this week's episode of Superhost Down Under. This week we have Narelle on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ray. Hi, Silvia, too.
Hi, Narelle. Welcome.
Great. And before we get into your story, we're going to talk about our weekly topic. Silvia, what do we have?
Well, I know we discuss reviews a lot. However, I wanted to discuss the fact that some reviews are about the property style, era, or theme, and not about the quality of the accommodation. And I'll give you an example. I've got a friend host who has an Art Deco apartment, and it's in the most beautiful building. Everything has been restored. So we're talking a building that's about 100 years old. And I mean, like, there's a high profile, wealthy people that live there. It is an upmarket building. But some people just don't understand Art Deco. They're looking for contemporary, which is fine. There's no criticism there. But it doesn't make sense that you're going to write a review saying that it's old just because it has some original features. And in fact, that should be valued, the original features, especially if they've been restored and it has that old world charm. And she was telling me about this problem, and I said, you really need to filter the type of guests that you attract by writing something like, old world charm, original features, all of that. It did improve for her after that, but she still gets people or guests coming through who criticize it because it's not what they're expecting. They're expecting a contemporary look. But I just personally don't understand, because don't you look at the photos? Can't you see that that isn't what you're getting? So it's a little bit confusing and a bit disappointing too, because you're being rated on a style or an era that the guest doesn't like, and not on the accommodation itself, which seems a bit unjust. Have either of you had this experience, Ray? You are very stylized with your Scandinavian look. Have you?
Yeah. I do face that because my 8 years in Sweden, like it's very IKEA-esque. Like it's very minimal, it's light, it's airy. You don't really have heavy couches and like dark furniture, or like not too many distractions. So I try to keep a very minimalistic design, including instead of having a big TV in the studio, I have a smart monitor, which like you could also stream things to. So you can there's a desk, you can put your keyboard there, connect to your computer, but you can also turn it. There's a remote, and then you can flip through stream TV. And it's 40 square meters. So it's a not so large apartment to begin with. So there's not that much room to sit away from a large TV anyway. So I thought 29 or 32 inches is enough. But I think in some parts of the world, like larger TVs is very popular, like big screen TVs with surround sound and multiple bedrooms. But my unit's in South Yarra, and it's a studio, and it's 40 square meters. Like a 70-inch TV would take up too much space. And then also it'd be quite uncomfortable to watch in a small space because you'd be sitting too close. But I've had guests complain about the size of the TV, and I've had guests complain about the lack of like enough natural light. And I think it's not advertised as super bright, but also in all my photos, the lights are on. Like it's not this is what it looks like with the lights off on a sunny day. During the day, this is the unit when it's sunny with the lights on. And so that's really difficult because some have ended into with disputes, like where guests want a discount, and then we have to go back to the ad. And then of course, like being clear on the ad, they end up not being successful in their complaint. But it's still a feeling of sadness when you can't make someone's stay pleasurable, like what they wanted. And I think that expectation is difficult when we're open to any guest from around the world, and they all have their cultural backgrounds and what they're used to. um, and trying my best to just accommodate people appropriately, but you can't really like deal with everyone's situation. So just trying to be clear as much as I can.
Yeah.
What do you think, Norel?
It's really interesting you say that, and it'd be good to know, I guess, the demographics of those people that complain. Um, I guess someone from, Queensland out in Emerald on a property, if they book your accommodation, are they going to have had exposure to the Scandinavia kind of or Art Deco or whatever that looks like, that they're not
Yeah.
just familiar with it. So I'm just wondering what the demographics of the complaint is, the age, where they
Hmm.
come from. It'd be interesting to know. But yeah, and I guess people might, want to book something that, aspirationally fits what they think it is going to be, but then realistically they book something and just go, you know what? I wanted a Queenslander. It looked great, or the lighting was on. It was fantastic, but it's squeaky and
Hmm.
there's lots of stairs and those little things, those little nuances that people may not just be aware of that aren't captured in the photos. And it's
Mm.
so difficult to, I guess, you know, try and describe all those little nuances and capture all that in photographs. I guess with Vibe on Vaughan, that was a big reason for our name as well, because we walked in and we was like, this place has a vibe. So we went with Vibe on Vaughan. It's on Vaughan Street, but it
Mhm.
allows people to subjectively come up with their own, I guess, it's a beach house, but come up with their own idea of what that would look like and what that would feel like. So the reality was somewhere that they took ownership of that reality, what it would look like when they came in. But yeah, it's interesting. And I guess I reflect too on a podcast a few episodes ago. I think it was in Cobalt, I want to say it was. And I had a look online and God love them. It's amazing. It's very eclectic and it's really retro. And you cannot sugarcoat it. It's definitely retro. But then they were saying too in one of the podcasts that they had a complaint that it was outdated. So I guess that it's definitely not on them. That's more on it's more on the guest and I guess their aspirations and and their backgrounds too. Like you were saying too, Ray, culturally, people may not just be aware of different styles.
Yeah, and I think also in the communication with guests, we always check in the day after their their initial stay just to see how they're feeling and if there's anything they need. And often we don't get any feedback, and then we get an unfavorable review, and it's really frustrating because they might be like, we needed more towels. Like, okay, like we have towels and we can deliver them, and we actually have an extra set in the like higher up in the storage, and we would easily tell you, but we don't want to put towels out for everyone who needs like
Yeah.
who might not need three sets because they're only staying one night, and then you don't know if people use them, so then you're washing them, and I think that's one of the most challenging thing is in trying to handle it proactively in the description by like just offering it so that people don't feel like they need to raise it. But then if people don't raise it and then they're upset, you didn't really get a chance to make their stay better, and that's really difficult for me.
Yeah. And I guess in our initial um, communication with guests, once they book, our first message is, thank you for booking our, family loved Airbnb. This is a quintessential Yeppoon beach house that's been lovingly built on over the years. So we plant that little seed right at the beginning too. And, I think that also builds a picture in the guest mind about what to expect. But also, like you were saying, to like in the listings and the title and the photos and the description, you can embed everything. You can start to build that, I guess, that picture,
Hmm.
but again, it comes down to what the guest, what their expectation is too, doesn't it?
Hmm. Exactly. Sylvia, you raised it.
Mm.
What about you? Any other? You mentioned it's your friend with Art Deco, but like specifically with your unit, um, how do you accommodate like such variety of guests and like their expectations? I know that for you, you mentioned to people that like there might there might be some noise if like because of the bedroom's location, and you offer like earplugs to people, but like what are your thoughts of handling the range of people who come in to your place?
Well, again, I think, I've said this a dozen times, because mine is a shared space, it's so much easier because people
Yeah,
can
you're there.
tell me at any stage of their stay if they're unhappy, and I encourage it from the beginning. One of the things I say when I welcome someone into my home is, um, you know, let me know if there's something I can help with making you more comfortable or you're not happy about. So I make it clear that they have an arena to come to and tell me.
Mm.
But we all know that face to face is more effective than messaging, that some people don't read, photos that some people don't look at. Mine is my apartment was, or the building was built um, about 25 years ago, and yet it was way ahead of its time because it is a designer building, and then designers were copying our building. So it's kind of caught up, and it's a very minimalistic look. It's all terrazzo flooring. Um, and the biggest uh, mismatch I can have is not even the noise anymore, because people, I find, are now traveling with eye masks and earplugs. They're prepared. And my apartment is very bright, and you've got some street noise from the bedroom. What I find the mismatch for mine is if they want air conditioning, because mine was designed not to have air conditioning. It's eco-friendly. It was designed north to south to create cross-flow louvre shutters, which draw in the breeze. I mean, that's a subject in itself that I could talk for ages about. So the mismatch I would get is if they love freezing cold air conditioning, and mine is not that. So, well, obviously I state that I don't have air conditioning, so that would eliminate a lot of the mismatching. Every now and then I get questions about, oh, I'm coming in summer. How do you, your place doesn't have air conditioning. So I just deal with it, but it's much, much easier for me. And mine is sort of a contemporary look anyway. So I don't really get people criticizing it for its styling or the era it was built, or, I just find it a bit sad if owners have gone to a lot of trouble to create a retro look or restore original features, and then they get criticised that it's old.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
seems strange to me. Oh, I suppose the other thing that people have to deal with mine is that it's a shared bathroom. It's one very large bathroom, not an ensuite and then another bathroom. But even that, because I make it very clear and they understand that it's a shared home, I don't have problems with it. And as one guest said to me, you don't, people don't spend a long time in the bathroom. They go in, use it, and come out. So that isn't a problem, but that could be sort of another minor issue with guests' expectations.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, let's get into your story, Narelle. You have a place in the Capricorn Coast in in central Queensland. Tell us how this came about,
Okay. So
and
look,
where is that?
I okay, so the Capricorn Coast is paradise. It is in central Queensland. We have been compared, and this is big shoes to fill, to Byron Bay. We're not there yet, but
Ooh,
oh my
that's a
goodness,
tough
guys,
call.
oh yeah, we are heading in that direction though. It's still a while off, but it
Mm,
is just beautiful here. So we don't get, the extreme humidities. We don't get the cyclones like further north. Um,
Mhm.
but we have the Keppel Islands as well, which is absolutely pristine. Like, rarely do you look out and see islands so close to the shore. It is absolutely
I'm
beautiful.
coming.
And oh my God. And oh, you will be beside yourself. I was down the beach the other day and just taking some little, little sound bites, little video footage. And
Mhm.
this isn't the first time it's happened where tourists have walked behind me and gone, oh my God, this is a surprise. How come we didn't know about this place? And so it is just, it's untapped, but it's definitely starting to grow, and people are starting to really recognize where the Capricorn Coast is.
Mm.
Um, so we've got a Airbnb that's only a few streets back from the beach, the main beach in Yeppoon. So we're nice and central. We look. I've always been interested. I love development and I love progression. Um, so we were in Brisbane. Before that, we were in Alice Springs, back to Brisbane. And we just thought, oh my gosh, Brisbane is just getting too busy. We've done the desert, we've done the city. Let's go back to a stomping ground. So I grew up in just a tiny little fishing village called Keppel Sands, just about 30 k's south of Yeppoon. And my husband grew up in Rockhampton, which is again 30 kilometres um, west of Yeppoon. So we wanted to be close to family, which are in Rockhampton. But at the same time, I just wanted to give my children the same upbringing that I did. So I'm really in love with just the community. We look, and I'm going to be vulnerable. I feel like this is a safe community.
Safe place.
So, so what is it? Maybe 2 years ago now, I actually had cancer. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I still have it. I'm doing okay though. Um, I was coming back from one of my last appointments, and there was no disease progression, and I was beside myself. I thought, let's take a risk, Owen, my husband. Let's do something crazy. And just in the car traveling back, flicking through realestate.com, and lo and behold, I come across this little house that had only hit the market an hour before. And so I called the real estate up. I said, we're coming back from Brisbane. Can we stop in for a viewing in about 8 hours? She organized that. We walked through, and then and there, we just knew that the layout, everything, it was it was designed. It wasn't, but it was designed to be an Airbnb. So we put an offer on it and successful. But I guess it really pulled at the heartstrings as well because growing up at Keppel Sands, I remember coming to Yeppoon for little athletics and seeing this tiny little house that was just nestled into the side of the hill of the main beach and just went, oh my God, like I vividly remember it. And now I own it. And it's definitely not the little house that it used to be, but it's really been extended and built on. But so it holds quite a personal, I guess, connection to me and my childhood.
It's so crazy. I think I feel like homes have energy, and when you walk in, it
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
just feels, and it's not necessarily the finishes, because I walked into the
Hmm.
place they purchased on the Gold Coast and had terrible, ugly brown carpet, and it had like rust and mold. But I walked in and I'm like, I could see myself living here, which sounds
Yeah.
absurd to
Not
like
at all,
into a
Ray.
dirty place and be like, this feels right. I can
Yeah,
make
it's
a
that
home.
emotional connection,
Yeah.
isn't it? 100%.
Yes, I totally get it. And amazing though that in just a matter of within your first 10 months you have a perfect 5-star rating.
Woo.
With
I
no
am so
experience.
proud of ourselves.
Mm.
No experience. Oh, look, I feel like I've got a lot of like interchangeable skills with the work I do, but I think my passion for the Capricorn Coast and being a local, and like you were saying, Ray, that feeling, I want to share that feeling that my house has. And it's a vibe. It's a vibe I'm born. So I just wanted to share it, and I just knew that people would walk in and have that same experience, and just it's not just the house, but it's selling the community and the lifestyle of Yeppoon.
Yeah, exactly. What do you for our listeners, like they'll be curious, like where are you transferring these skills from?
Okay, so after a big day at work,
Yes.
so I am a mental health nurse. So I work on the acute care mental health team here in Rockhampton.
Wow.
So I service all of central Queensland, which is a massive catchment area. So although metropolitan, it's fast paced, I guess we have the volume and the expanse of central Queensland that we need to cater for. So my role is often on the 1300 mental health line, or
Mm,
if I'm not doing that, I'm up in ED doing assessments. So
mm,
anyone who needs a mental health assessment who is in crisis, so whether that's someone that's suicidal or drug-induced psychosis, a lot of those high-end needs.
mm,
That's me. I will assess them and put them under the Mental Health Act, or transfer them to services um, that's good fit. So it's a pretty full-on job to say the least. But I guess in my role, something that I need to be able to do quickly and warmly is to build rapport with my consumers when they're in crisis. So I guess that skill is interchangeable into hosting. While, I hope that my guests aren't in crisis, but they're coming, they're anxious about, the kids have been in the car for 8 hours crying. They don't know whether, that they worry about, if this is going to be a good fit for them, or, unpacking all those things. So I guess my job is initially building that trust, and that happens way before they arrive. So that happens that initial booking when they reach out. It's all about building trust and that psychological safety, um, that they are cared for and that they're going to have an experience that I guess meets their needs too. So I know that, I've heard before that, a lot of your guests will travel for business, whereas my
mm,
guests often travel for, I guess, family gatherings or sporting events. One that's checked in this afternoon has been for a group baby shower. So
mm,
it's really leaning heavily into that and knowing what they're booking for and then running with that.
mm. I mean, if you can
Well,
deal with acute mental health challenges, you can deal with like stressed out travelers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to think I can.
Like I
It's a
feel like it's
lot
a
of
holiday when you're like if you're like cheating with distressed guests, it's a walk in the park for you. Like you don't even have to use your
yeah.
best tools.
And it's a lot of de-escalating that anxiety. Yep.
Yeah, you've been trained for this. Sylvia, what were you gonna say?
I understand, Narelle, that the house has 4 bedrooms. So
So
it's ideal for larger groups, family
yeah,
gatherings.
yeah, it well and truly is. And and I know I've heard a few of your guests talk about, that they're 4 or 6 bedrooms. And I remember one guy saying, "Oh my God, anything that's over 11 beds, I get anxious about, and it encourages parties." Look, I
Mm,
know Airbnb doesn't encourage parties, but we encourage gatherings. That's what it's all about. So it
mm,
sleeps 11 guests, and it's across 3 what we call pavilions. So it's all under the one roof, but there's 3 kitchens, there's 2 laundries, it's that there's a lot of room and there's lots of nooks, and it has just been an old like little quintessential Yeppoon beach shack that's just been extended over 45 plus years. So there is ample room on the property to I guess be connected, but also still have your own space.
How do you
mm,
divide it up into the 3 pavilions?
It's really interesting, Sylvia. It is, and this is something that really kind of sparked our interest as an Airbnb when we initially walked through. The layout is very so although it's all under the one roof, it's very distinct areas. So there's there was no need to divide anything up. There was a natural flow that there is segregated areas that's joined by decks. Um, and then there's three separate keys as well. So each, I guess, family or guest group have their own set of keys, but it's all on the one property.
And also, I was gonna say, with you said you had a tough or a challenging day. Like, how do you balance your day job with all
Oh,
this these rooms and guests?
right. This is therapy for me. And I guess like I work part-time and my hat goes off to my colleagues who work full-time. But
Mm.
I work part-time. I still get really quite fatigued. With the cancer as well. So, and that's okay. But I live 5 doors down or thereabouts from the property.
Um,
So that enables us to, duck around and quickly mow the lawn. And I don't think we would have brought it if it wasn't so close. Um,
Mm.
so that definitely helps us out. But so I have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off. I also coach and manage a netball team. So that's my little, hobby after, in the afternoon. But then during Tuesday and Wednesday, during the day, I just pot around. I do some gardening. I strip the sheets. So usually our bookings, it's vacant Tuesday and Wednesday. That's been the pattern and the rhythm to it. And so it's a good fit. It works out.
do you
Wow,
mean that you
incredible!
block Tuesday, Wednesdays, or you just don't get
It
bookings
happens
on
naturally,
Tuesday, Wednesday?
Sylvia. Yeah,
Wow.
it's just something that naturally happens. Yeah, so we have a minimum of 2 nights stay, but I think maybe that's happened twice. It's usually a minimum people book for 3 days to 5 days, and for some reason, it's usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or actually always. Rarely do I need to block those 2 days out.
Mm.
And you've got 2 listings on Airbnb for the one property.
I do. And it's something that's still really new and it's something that we'll definitely start to build on. So we've got Pavilion 2, we've renovated a little bit, or I guess all we've done is painted it, but we've really kind of color drenched it. So it is this beautiful moody green. And although it complements the whole vibe of the property, it can be a standalone booking, tailored for guests. And we're trying to lean in to midweek bookings. So we can still close off the rest of the property and it can even be unclean. It can be, the cleaners haven't come yet, but it's still, as long as the deck and the yards and the pool is all clean, then we can block off Pavilion 2, and it's called Afterglow. And so that is starting to get a little bit more momentum. But in all honesty, we actually started this so we could have a break on the weekend. So the periods that had been booked, we have been so busy with Vaughan. Like, we need a break. Let's open up Afterglow just so we can get a breather and just have it out for couples. It's a much smaller footprint. It's easy to flip. It's one king bed to launder, so it works in our favour.
Hmm. Really incredible that you're balancing all of these things and like you still maintain such a like positive and like energetic
Mm.
outlook. Like,
Oh, life's too short to be sad, and I think it's all about taking therapeutic risks. And
yeah.
yeah, and it's like I said, it's fun, it's adventurous, and I love the connection with the guests as well. And I know Sylvia, you're the same too, and I kind of admire how you have that connection. And I guess with you're face to face with your guests. So hearing some of your stories and the way that you engage with the guests, it was really impressionable on when we started and how I would kind of transfer my skills like you do, with the guests too.
And
Thank you.
tell
I
us a
mean,
little bit. Go on, continue.
a lot of people sort of say, "Oh, that's a weird concept, sharing." But it was the
Mm,
original Airbnb concept. And also,
yeah.
years ago, before there was Airbnb, there used to be a thing called bed and breakfast where people would have someone in their home,
Yeah.
in a room, and give them a bed and breakfast. I mean, I don't provide food as such, but or breakfast or anything, but it's still that same concept which has worked well before Airbnb was around, but people still think it's a weird concept. I just come across people that do think it's a weird concept, but the amount of people that I meet and my mind broadens from all their stories and where they're from and what their lives are about. And, we share these conversations, which I really thrive off it. I find it very
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Yeah, I completely appreciate where you're coming from, Sylvia.
And tell us a little bit about the engagement. You mentioned about how you engage with your guests when they book, but you also have a social media presence. And tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, so I guess with with short-term accommodation, it's not just booking the property. It's not just a property transaction. I really believe people go on Airbnb to have that psychological exchange, and it's so important to be able to build trust with, I was going to say consumer. They're not consumers, sorry. The host, sorry, the guest. So I feel like my initial engagement with the guest is naturally my guests have always told me why they're coming. I've never had to prompt them, and I just run with that. So, and I guess too, being authentic is a really big part of how we build trust. If the guest doesn't feel that you are being authentic, that they may as well just go and stay at a motel. So I think they really book Airbnb in particular to have that connection with someone. And I guess with social media, I like to, you know, be lighthearted and have a little bit of a dig as well, but also build that sense of connection and anticipation. And I guess, that the storytelling behind it too, that I'm always taking little videos. If ever I go down the beach, I'm always got my camera out, just taking little 3-second snippets of our community. And then just, there's some amazing editing tools at the moment that are all free, and just popping them into there and, matching I guess, the vibe. So matching a song, or the backing track that matches what you want to convey. And I guess that plays into what we were talking about earlier as well, the guest expectations. Like, it's all those little things that start to build that picture in the guest's mind as well about what they're going to experience when they walk through the front door.
Hmm. What are some of the earlier lessons that you learned when setting up this regional Queensland property that you can pass on to some of our guests?
Okay, I guess with social media, and I've had a look around like Bundaberg and Mackay, and there's a few up and down the coast that, oh my God, they're the most beautiful properties. And I just feel that they could really start to leverage them on social media. So what I do, and again, I'm new, so this is just I'm starting to get a little bit of back about events and building connections with the brewery and with florists and with cleaners and everyone in between. Um, so really tap into, as a local, what they can offer, and with the platforms, with social media, with the community web pages for, I guess, for Yeppoon, there's Yeppoon communities, Yeppoon families, and then in Rockhampton there's similar. So all you need to type into your search engine, on one of those social media platforms, is the name of the town and something with community, and you'll come up with so many. I guess with that, it's about, and I've got a list of when you're allowed to post advertising material. So for a lot of them, it's, Thursdays and Fridays. So it's keeping abreast of that. So you're not getting, scolded by the admin person, but sending it out to community sites. So it builds a sense of excitement if there's an event on. So those people will travel locally, and often, we get a lot of people from, I guess, Emerald and out west, rather than go to Bali or go to Gold Coast, they'll come to Yeppoon. So with the cost of petrol and everything, it's still close enough for them to have a holiday. So every time I have sent out or I guess published something on social media and sent it to those community groups, I've always got a booking. Um, which is, and it's free advertising. I've never paid for advertising. So it's and then you get, you attend all the, I guess, festivals and social events. So for us, Rocky Nats was big. We have, amazing, I guess, um, a big, what would you call it? Like a big plaza. It's I'm just trying to think of the right words. It's almost like a little stadium down on the main beach where they have lots of live bands and lots of gigs and festivals. So it's tapping into all those kinds of things as well, and then creating a bank of photos and videos. So the following year you can repost that and start to build some momentum.
Uh, I wanted to ask you more about your social media on with so many options for content, what to post. How do you divide up your time between stories and reels and instants, which are like just quick pics of what you're looking at, and posts? Like where are you focusing your time, investing your time in content?
I do a lot of reels, and at the moment I have discovered trial reels. So with
Yeah.
trial, yeah, so good, yay! So with trial reels, it'll go out to all of your
People who don't follow you.
non-followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's amazing. Like before that, I think I posted one last night. Woke up in the morning, there's 400, 400 views. So then I'll send it out, make a few little tweaks, and then I'll send it out to my followers. So lots and
Yeah.
lots of reels. They're so easy to do. And again, it's free advertising, so why not do it? I've just recently got last week, finally, professional photos done. So now that I've got them done, I'll start putting together a lot of more content as well. But it's something I definitely want to lean more heavily into. Again, I am a rookie at this. I am by no means a professional, but I feel like I've been doing okay, but it's something I definitely want to build on.
Nice. Very good. And congrats on the photos. Like it's can be very intimidating to like take photos. I still get very nervous in front of a lens.
I know. And like all these photos recently, they're all lifestyle photos. So I
Oh,
guess
good.
that too, yeah, that too is creating a sense of the vision of what Vibe on Vaughan can be for the guest. So, there's little snippets of me with my daughters in the kitchen and, dancing. So that kind of leans into a family stay. Then I had a beautiful model who was, in a robe, and a few other shots where it was very suggestive of a couple stay and that romantic kind of feel. So, and then, Beef Week photos as well, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. But so really leaning into different, I guess,
Activities
different,
and life. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And how do you price around these large events that come to your area? And like, how do you, because I have used other pricing tools that have those
yeah,
things baked in. So it knows when something's happening and also
yeah,
knows how your neighbors are doing in terms of whether they're booked out. If they're booked out, then you can price higher because they can't stay there.
yeah.
How do you approach pricing a property in regional Australia?
Look, I had major imposter syndrome to start with, and I had it priced so low, and like so many of you will get, rookie mistake. My first booking was Christmas, and it was so cheap. So good on them. Learnt
Oh,
my mistake, learnt from my mistakes quickly. And I've slowly been
That's a
increasing the
common one.
price.
too cheap?
Yeah, Oh, yeah, and just yeah,
Mm.
the sense and I'm always second guessing myself and, like, sitting here now, I'm like, "Oh my god, that seems so expensive." But then when you
Yeah.
work it out, it's 11 guests, and it's not
Mhm.
just the house, it's the feeling that they get. It's that hospitality that they're receiving that they wouldn't get if they booked, 3 motel rooms down at the beach. So
Mm.
I guess it's that too, but with events like Beef Week and, oh gosh, there's everything with, there's tournaments, there's netball carnivals, there's so many things regionally that are held in Yeppoon. It is our first year, so we are still learning, but I guess when it comes to big events like Beef Week, that is another kettle of fish. And
Big week.
uh, it's yeah, and it's
What is
it's
it?
expensive.
It's a
Okay,
week for
let's
two.
unpack this. Okay, so Beef Week.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so Beef Week. Let me get some statistics for you guys. So Beef Week is held every 3 years. Okay. Um, it is an event that is world recognized. We have delegates from all around the world. It is a look. It's a beef week. It is everything cattle, everything from finances, from machinery. They sell bull semen for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It
Oh my
is
gosh.
enormous. It's incredible. Um, so last beef week, Airbnb reported a 227% uplift in new Airbnb listings. So it brought $102 million to Rockhampton. This event
Wow.
sells out any accommodation. There they have caravan parks, they have tent city. Accommodation is booked out in a radius of 100 kilometres of Rockhampton. Um, so Airbnb has recently just hosted information sessions that was open to locals to try and encourage them to open up short term, like open up Airbnb just for the duration of that week. So there's been a huge influx already. It's 12 months out, and the prices, because people cannot get accommodation, the prices are phenomenal because there is that, I guess, that need for accommodation.
What month of the year is this?
Yep. So it is in May next year.
Oh, we just
May.
So
missed it. We just missed it. We just missed
uh,
No,
beef.
it's every 3
every 3
years.
years, guys. It's every 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe it
Yeah.
should
So,
be every
and
year.
look,
Maybe
I'm
they
for
Oh,
should
again.
make
annual.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
I would consider myself a rich person if it was every year. So look, and again, this is a safe space, but properties are for the week. There's properties that are going for $40,000 for the week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, pick your jaw up. It is crazy. So, and I like these are
It's
Rockhampton
good.
properties, but in saying that, it's fantastic. That said, a lot of these properties, and I guess this is what we're building towards, with all these 5-star reviews, a sense of trust and, a community presence that we are really starting to lean into what we can offer, um, uh, hopefully corporate stays for Beef Week. So I will be taking the week off work, and so as part of the package and experience of staying at Vibe Vaughan, although we are, half an hour from Rockhampton, as, part of your stay, I will endeavour to drive um, my guests to Yeppoon and to Rockhampton and any events in Rockhampton. There'll be a huge hamper, there'll be a fridge full of food. So they'll be able to work in Rockhampton, come home and, relax by the beach and relax by the pool. So that's what we're leaning into. Um, but again,
Can
it's
you fit
just
11 guests in your car?
yeah. Well, this is the thing too, that that often it will be large corporate I guess, corporate stage that will have maybe 5 delegates. So we definitely aren't anticipating for it to all be booked out. It'll be a person in each room. Um, so yeah, our car does hold 5 people, so that'll be capped. Again, I don't mind commuting. It's a nice drive. It's a new road. And for that much money, I will lean backward for these people. So
Fair
and
enough.
again, yeah, and it's really about building rapport and trust and and just being a decent person. Like, I don't want to be taking this much money off someone and just get a generic house that someone's moved out for the week and moved in with their in-laws to make this much money. I really want it to be special for these people. So in 3 years' time, they'll rebook.
Yeah, so I assume that at Rockhampton during Beef Week, there isn't any parking. So that would be a great idea that you drive
Yeah,
them there and back. And
it is. It's a
I can see
huge
how that,
selling point.
yeah. But, what you're offering, it is about supply and demand. And so when the demand is
Mm.
low, the prices are set at one um, nightly rate, and then when the demand is high, of course you set it at a different nightly rate. It's a little bit like New Year's Eve in Sydney. That's our number one night.
Yeah, yeah.
That's annual though,
Yeah,
not every
that's
3
right.
years.
But then we've got like this huge big thing that's called Rocky Nats. So all these redheads get together, and I didn't realize how big that was, and I
My God.
completely undervalued it by at least $1,000, 1,500 easily. So I guess in this first year, there's a lot that I'm learning about these events and the pricing, and I guess the demand. And my favorite word now is grandfathering. So I feel a little bit safe that there's not going to be more Airbnbs that pop up locally. Um, and I just feel a little bit protected that we can, I guess can lean into that a bit too, that again, that demand there's not going to be a surplus of properties available.
And you're only on Airbnb, Narelle?
Look, I
Oh,
am,
apart from your
Sylvia, but
social media.
every time I hear someone on, one of your guests talk about, all these different platforms, I'm like, oh, I wonder. But for now, we're at, I guess, our version of 100% capacity. But
Mhm.
I don't feel like I need any additional stress going on bookings.com because I've heard terrible stories and I'm a little bit anxious about it. If anything, I'll start to lean more into considering having my own platform with, I guess
Your
website
own
and
website.
direct booking, so to speak. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, because
So that's where it's heading.
The Airbnb calendar does circle when there are dates, when there are events on. So just keep an eye on that as well. I'm sure
Ah,
you know
does
what
it?
events are happening. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Have
see,
a look at
yeah,
the
and I guess
calendar
I guess
and
yeah, regionally we don't get that. And it's really, I guess, a quite little niche market. So I've never come across that, Sylvia, where things are circled.
well, have a look at the calendar.
Except, yeah, I guess New Year's, so it's obvious ones, but anything else like that besides New Year's and Christmas and Easter, I've never seen a circle.
It's a new
I'm sure they
feature.
have a circle for Beef
Yeah,
Week.
right. Oh, I went on it like 10 minutes before we started, and yeah, there definitely wasn't. So, but wait and see, because like Airbnb is very actively engaged with Beef Australia and the organisers. So who knows? It very well could have a circle around it in the coming future.
Can I
Well,
ask, do you and your husband do all the cleaning and preparing, and or do you have
Yeah.
a backup if one of you can't?
And I guess, yeah, look, we've set it up. Initially, we just had a very close friend who was helping with the cleaning. But then we realized how busy we were, and we were just paying her cash in hand. But then we were like, oh my gosh, like come tax time, it's like we are losing out a fair bit of money. So we have the most amazing cleaners. It's a beautiful young couple, TJ Cleaners. Shout out to them. Um, so they will, so we'll prep it. So we'll strip all the beds. We'll, we do all the yard work. We do the pool. We try and get the kids to lean in and help, but that's a work in progress. So we'll do all that kind of stuff and all the staging and straightening everything. They'll come through and do the floors, the high touch surfaces, and the bathroom. So it works out well, but mostly, no, actually, let's be honest, we do everything else. So it does take a good day to flip, and there's not a weed in the garden. Like, I pride myself on my gardening. So we and that's another reason why we didn't go down at the avenue of having someone external, so a another host or anyone take care of it, because I just don't feel like it would be up to the quality that I expect.
Ah.
Hmm. Well, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And under your first year, what, if any, guest behavior has surprised you the most?
Oh, surprise me. Oh, look, Ray, I think considering living so close, we are forever doing drive-bys, and my children will go and do a sneaky walk around the block and have a spy and come back and let us know. We did drive past at one stage and we saw some children on the roof. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess by then, like we were talking about earlier, it's about building that trust with your guest. So by then, I'd built a really good rapport. So I felt very comfortable, saying, "Look, I really appreciate your children's ninja skills, but this could
But
be a risk." And yeah, so and I guess and that again, it comes back to being authentic. So I felt like I could, be a little bit cheeky, and it was a safe relationship that I could, give her some feedback and ask her to please parent properly and get your kids off the bloody roof, but in a way that was friendly and engaging and warm. And there was no shame or guilt about her parenting. There was no questioning. And she was very apologetic, and I'm sure she rails on her children. But besides that, look, all our guests have been absolutely beautiful. We haven't had any main issues. We have had some feedback about a smell, and I'm like, oh my God, where is this smell coming from? Um, and because having gone through chemo and, my sense of smell, I do not have any sense of smell anymore. And I was racking my brain going, what could this smell be? Like, surely it's coming from somewhere. And then I was around there cleaning the pool and I heard a bat colony off in the way distance that had kind of just started to roost in the mangroves. Like, oh, I
hmm.
wonder if that's what it is. And yeah, so I messaged the guest back and said, "Oh, look, I cannot smell a thing. I've lost my sense of smell, but thank you for letting me know. But I think this is what it is." Then a week later, thank goodness there was no guest there, but we had a blockage in our sewer pipe, and it had come up through all the lower pavilion. Um, so I messaged my guest back. She'd left a 5-star review already, but I felt like I needed to say, "Hey, look, you were actually right. I was wrong. It wasn't this bat colony with the drifting smell. Yeah, you smelt what you could
Oh,
smell, and I appreciate your feedback." And yeah, so but yeah, that ended up being quite an expensive lesson as well. And but now the plumbing's done, it's fixed, and yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing your story, Narelle. It's been great having you.
Oh, thank you so
thank
much,
you,
guys. And can
Narelle.
I just say that, and I'm sure that I speak for all hosts out there, and especially new ones like myself, this has been an absolute game changer, and especially for hosts in Australia. I have had so many people that I'm talking to, and they are going, "We listen to you guys. I know who you're talking about."
What are
So
you?
I just really want to say thank you. It's a big game changer, and it just feels like
Thank you.
such a nice little community to be a part of. So kudos to
Yeah,
you guys too.
thank you. That's very kind. It's
Thank you,
starting to happen
Narelle.
in our. I think Silvia mentioned to me we're over 20,000, like 21, 22,000
Oh,
listen. Which is
Well done. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. And it's onwards and upwards. It's definitely, yeah, getting momentum if it hasn't already, guys. So you should be really proud of yourself.
thank you. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Narelle.
much.
Thank you, guys. It was lovely talking to you.
Bye.